Hello, Ben O'Donnell. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today, Mike?
I am fantastic. But I tell you what, you are an amazing human, and you know that, don't you?
I'm getting the feeling that way. Yeah.
Well, Ben, it just your story as an COVID-19 survivor. You're an Ironman. Here you go on a business trip. You come back, put on a ventilator. All of a sudden, the ECMO heart lung pump machine and the University of Minnesota Medical Center, you were their first COVID case. Did you even
Yep.
know what was going on during this whole quick process of going in?
No, I thought that I had a little bit of a flu. I was going to go in and get some fluids because I wasn't keeping up, and then I'd be home in a few hours, not knowing that 24 hours later I'd be on a heart lung bypass machine, and that's what they needed to do to save me. I had no idea what was going on there.
I'm sorry, you were in for how long?
I was in the ICU for 28 days.
28 days. Dude,
Yep.
that's like 28 Ironmans, isn't it?
I was asked a couple times what was harder, going through that or the Ironman. And right now, the Ironman's too far away. It's a couple of years ago, so I'm having trouble remembering it. But it was definitely a hard experience. Yeah.
That's right. You were a 2017 Ironman Wisconsin finisher. And what was interesting, you were the first COVID case to go into the University of Minnesota Medical Center. So the doctors and nurses were expecting their first case to be a 60 or 70-year-old individual. And here you come in young and strong at 38. That just shocked them, didn't it?
It absolutely did. I mean, it put a lot of ripples through the whole medical community. They weren't expecting someone as young or healthy, no pre-existing conditions. I had actually a 2-day physical at the Mayo Clinic 2 weeks before this, which was completely clean bill of health because I was doing Ironman Arizona later this year, signed up for it. So I was going and getting this big physical to make sure that my body could handle the training. And 5 days later, 6 days later, I contract this virus that puts me in the ICU. So some of the people were like leery of even walking past my room, even though it was a full isolation room. But the staff that were taking care of me, they never questioned coming in and doing whatever needed to be done to keep me going and take care of me.
And isn't it true you were the first heart lung pump, the ECMO, to get off that in the country and survive?
Yeah, so I was the first one to survive, and right now I'm one of 21 or 22 in the whole world to survive going on ECMO with COVID.
Did the doctor say to you at all, well, thank goodness, Ben, you're an Ironman athlete, you're in shape? Did they say that your age and how good a shape you were in had a lot to do with it?
They have a feeling that my Ironman training and being an Ironman really helped to give me the mental strength to get through and to fight with the virus, essentially, to make sure I got through. The physical, that was definitely there. Having the lung capacity from the training and everything else, even though they were full of fluid completely, it really helped for me to recover faster. Right now I'm a few weeks, 3.5 weeks out of the hospital, and I'm able to do longer walks. I don't need oxygen, and other patients are still 3-4 weeks out of the hospital, and they're still working to lift their arms and barely walking.
You had that physical ability, that physical in shape, but mentally you had to be prepared. So I know you were repeating a mantra that you heard at Ironman Wisconsin. Why don't you share with us what that was and how that kept you going?
So every day it was just, the don't stop, don't quit, keep moving forward. It's always a path to move forward. You don't want to quit on yourself. You don't want to quit on the other people. It's just a matter of how can I keep moving forward and getting better every day, whether it's in training, whether it's mile 22 of the marathon. You just don't quit and you keep moving forward. And I had that actually printed out and put on the wall for me to see it. We're on pictures of my family. There's a couple other phrases of like, you're an Ironman, you can do anything. And there's a big Ironman logo actually in the wall at the hospital as well, that they put up there for me just to kind of keep me going with the motivation with all the family pictures that were there.
Well, Ben, I can't imagine how much you inspired the doctors and the nurses and the hospital staff around you. The other tough part, you had to be separated from Deanna, your wife, and your 3-year-old daughter for that period of time, didn't you?
Yeah, so my wife dropped me off at the emergency room and they took me straight back to an isolation room because they suspected I might be COVID positive. And so the last time I saw her, I was just able to, through glass, just sign I love you. And that was it. And I didn't see her for 28 days. And all we had was FaceTime over my phone, just to talk a couple times a day. But I was on a ventilator for about 20 days. So for about 10 days of that, our conversations weren't actually conversations. It was me miming, trying to, do charades to explain things to her and listening to her. Found out that we're not good charades partners. She can't figure out what I'm trying to say. So I resorted to texting. But that was it. It was just a matter of until late March, I was still on a ventilator. And only after that was I able to talk. But before that, it was just signing or trying to do rudimentary sign language we had taught our daughter at 6 months old of, I love you more, please, thank you. That was about it.
Wow, that is just, so have you, I know you've gotten on the treadmill, you're trying to get yourself back into shape. Have you been watching, I know you probably can't participate yet, but watching the Ironman VR series?
I have been watching the VR series, and it's really inspiring. I mean, right now I'm in my pain cave workout room, whatever you want to call it. I was able to get a little spin in this week, a little 10 minutes on the bike, just spinning just a little bit, just to see how that was going to go. And right now, as I said, Arizona's on the calendar. I mean, I've got my foundation slot, and I just want to see if I can get there. That's really the whole goal right now, is taking those baby steps and see if I can get back there for Arizona this year, or if not, I'll be at Wisconsin next year again.
Well, knowing your resolve, Ben, I mean, 10 minutes on the spin bike is going to turn into 20 to 30 to 40, and before you know it, hopefully we'll all be together at that start line at Ironman Arizona. I read a quote that you were interviewed by the newspaper, and you actually said, and I'm quoting you verbatim, "I'd do this again if I could stop someone else from getting sick." It was almost hard for me to comprehend, which says, well, I'd get sick again if it would stop somebody else from getting sick. Talk about that.
So, I mean, for me, I'm usually a very private person. Don't post on social media, don't do many things like that. But with this story, I think it's too important not to tell. And I understand what I'm getting into with this. If I were to get sick again to protect somebody else, that was the whole point of putting my story out there, is to give hope to those who have been through this or are going through this. And also, if there's some that, like me, before I got this, well, this is only for pre-existing conditions or somebody over 65. And here I am, I got put flat on my back. That this is a serious thing, but that's just, for me, I'd rather go through something difficult again rather than see somebody else have to go through the pain and put somebody else's family through this. That's just the overall theme that I have, is I'd rather do it myself than have somebody else deal with it.
Well, the old saying of adversity introduces one to themselves. I think you found a new Ben O'Donnell inside yourself, didn't you?
I think I did. It gives you a lot of perspective when you're sitting in that room between visits from the nurse or the doctors, and you get to think and see and just look within yourself. What do you have? What's there? And sometimes you like what you see, sometimes you don't. And finding that little strength and what am I going to do to move forward with this? And that's really what I wanted to be able to do, is recommit to what is important with my family, with my health, with training, with all of that, and just make sure I can do that now that I'm back on my feet.
Well, it was a very hard lesson for you to have to go through to try to help teach others what they can do and hopefully survive through. So Ben O'Donnell, our hats are off to you. I cannot wait to bring you across that finish line at Ironman Arizona. But until then, you are an Ironman, Ben O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mike.
Hey, buddy, take care of yourself. We're going to be following along with you. Be well and give a hug to that family of yours.
I definitely will. Thank you very much.
Aloha.